and when you finally meet somebody in real life, it's just like, wow, that's crazy, right? And that's a good thing about video games. Like a lot of the people that are in my clan that I play with on Destiny 2 or just play with in general, I have met some of them in real life. Like two of my friends, I actually paid for their ticket to go to this anime convention with me. Like I was doing like PvP or something. I was like one night and I was like, hey, there's an anime convention this weekend. Do you want to go? I'll buy both of your tickets. They came, picked me up, we went. It was a good time. And it's great that these games are here so we can forge this kind of friendship and bond.
Absolutely, just like anime,
Yeah.
I feel like even just Demon Slayer alone, it's like getting together, going to watch the movie together, it's it's awesome. I also
Yeah.
think games like Pokemon Go help a lot with that too, like community-oriented events, where it's like
Mhm.
you're literally meeting strangers to do complete complete challenges that you need to complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back in high school, that I mean that shit was different, man. Like well, Laura, like back in high school, people were playing Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh and all that stuff, but it wasn't too much out in the open. I know a lot of kids played Magic in the band room,
Yeah.
and everybody knew about that, but nobody really went inside.
Well, us band geeks were in there. Rude, Eric.
Oh yeah, I forgot about y'all, but it's like during lunch they would play Magic there, and I never got into Magic because I was never really a fantasy guy. I was more into sci-fi and all that stuff. But
That's so funny. I feel like it's such a crossover. Like for me, I like fantasy and sci-fi, but like I do see where there's a distinction. I just feel like it's
Hmm.
mhm,
I don't know, it depends on the direction. There's some even that I feel like could in theory be both, depending on what direction they go.
Yeah,
And
because magic
yeah,
is science and science is magic. You know.
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and
There's like a quote I always like that's like all religion, arts, and sciences are different branches of the same tree. And I feel like
Yeah,
it's just how you interpret stuff. You know what I mean? Like it just, yeah, some people like everything is like magic if you don't know how it's done.
totally.
yeah, man, Dark Ages. But I just thought it was kind of ironic that one time one of our buddies, I'm not gonna name his name, but he walked into the band room during lunch and yelled out, "You guys are a bunch of fucking losers," and walked out because they were playing Magic. But we all secretly played Pokemon in the back. You know what I mean? It's like we were.
Well, that and I also feel like all you guys yelled stuff like that for anything, even if it was something cool. People were like talking shit like at some point. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't exactly like
It wasn't harmful,
Hormones.
but it could have been. I mean,
wait,
What?
like he was such a bully, he'd be like
he
a hit
wasn't like.
list.
I mean,
Like
I
or
wouldn't say he was a bully, but he was like he just like.
I wonder if I'm thinking of the same
I
person.
think you are thinking of the same person. But it was different back in high school. Like I wasn't really out and open about my nerdy and geekiness until like senior year of high school when I started throwing all the parties and then people snuck into the house to use the bathroom and they go into our room and they would see my computer and my whole anime collection and then people are like, oh, you're into anime and stuff. I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, it's okay, you're Asian, you get a pass.
Oh my god.
I'm like, all right, that's cool.
Valleywood. I didn't know about this until right now, but that's the Valleywood. Yeah.
Yeah, like like in I'm sure this is the same for you, right, Lance? Like back in the day, you're a man, you played football or you did other kind of sports.
Yeah, I played
Uh,
baseball.
you drank beer on the weekends and
Yeah,
you grinded on girls, or else you were a loser.
yeah. I was definitely grinding on people.
I'm not saying it's like these don't do this now. This is totally wrong, but it was just a different time back then where geek culture wasn't popularized until like now.
Yeah, I think there's definitely been an evolution of like, yeah, just what's allowable. Also, what's come to the mainstream culture. I think things like Netflix has influenced our generation and brought a lot more, variety to people's you know, content. Um,
Yeah.
and really had to like before if you're going to Blockbuster or to Hollywood Video to like rent a movie or a video game, you were definitely staying in your lane because you were spending money each and every time if you had to go to the store, you know.
And you're like putting yourself out there, like you have to like be out there in public picking something, like checking it out with someone, taking it
Right.
home versus like being in the comfort of your own space.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a whole different type of feel versus now, you know, people can be like, oh, you know, I always really liked this anime growing up, and it was the only anime that I ever watched, but I found it on Hulu or Netflix, and so they watch it and they kind of re-fall in love with animation, and then next thing you know, they're like into Demon Slayer and fucking DBZ and everything else, you know. So I don't know.
Well, DBZ was like everybody's intro to fucking anime, right? Well,
Because it was
DBZ
like
and
on
Pokemon.
mainstream like channels and stuff. Like
Zoids as well. I feel like as a kid, like I fucking loved that show on the Cartoon Network. I thought it was so sick. And then I watched it as an adult recently, like maybe like 6 months ago, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible.
This aged poorly.
It's so it's I was
there's
like,
a bunch of stuff like that, like for sure, that you grew up with and you like remember it as great, but you finally rewatch it and it's like, oh god, like, what were we learning?
Cowboy Bebop as well. Like I definitely watched that with my cousins in like 1998 or 1999 whenever it came out. I don't know. Anime's always kind of been anime video games. It's always kind of been a part of, you know, how my growing up was. I mean, my mom will tell you, and she'll be the first, because like I like Pokemon and Harry Potter taught me how to read 110%. Like
For sure.
those two things working in conjunction, like getting released at the same time. Pokemon first, and then Harry Potter naturally after. It's like I was hooked on phonics.
For sure. I feel like there needs to be more of that, like whatever version it is. Like there's so much that like there's so many things out there to like get kids into reading, but there's like so little encouragement of kids just continuing to read whatever they're into. Like I feel like there's so many adults that want them to read specific things or like in a specific way, but like it's finding their passion and their interest and then like that stuff growing. And I feel like that goes back to like the hobby thing. Like I don't know, Eric, I think what the question you're asking is very much like generational based. Like we were talking before about like what changes and how every generation changes. Cause I feel like our generation is doing a better job. But I do also think that previous generations have kind of laid that groundwork that like there was nerd culture being more accepted slowly but surely as we like got to us. And I think now like looking like on Generation Z, is that the younger ones? Yeah, the Generation Z, like they're even more so. Like it's really interesting to see them like embracing the mom jeans and like the, you know, like learning all these different like things. Like it's funny them rediscovering old shows that were like classics to us, but like, you know, it's just I do think that I don't know what is cool keeps changing and what is nerdy keeps changing, but I do like that we're kind of deconstructing what is like acceptable and what is normal and like what people have to like. And I think we're kind of recognizing the bias of where that originally came from. Like a lot of like what we've talked about in other stuff, it's like what was cool and what was acceptable is because it was like heteronormative or because it was like the like just whitewashed and like, you know, acceptable to a certain group. Like there's so many things like that whatever group it was, like it was acceptable to some, and then they kind of like had the power enough to make it like this is what's cool and everything else is not.
This is the perfect image, you know.
Yeah.
Like I feel like
So like getting off the porn side, but just in like the mainstream side.
We went from fucking Pokemon to porn real fast.
Because there's okay, all those are hobbies, y'all. First of all, and second of all,
sometimes they're mixing together, man.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Shout out to Woody Rocket.
Well,
gosh,
I still think
that should be a show. It's like,
like
looking at your porn history with Eric Cypresser.
Oh man, I'll show you my bookmark collection.
My bookmark.
Oh, like, I'm feeling a little festive today. Christmas porn. Here we go.
Oh, okay, Christmas, like Hallmark. Eric and I always talk about Hallmark movies, or we like have these running jokes about Hallmark movie moments. Like Hallmark movies are a whole other level, but I also think all movies do this. Marvel movies, like any of the like mainstream movies, you